Alrighty, let me start off by kind of showing you what I'm looking for this assignment, and then talking a little bit about how you're going to do this. Maybe giving you some tips, and maybe even sharing a little bit of the code that you would need to work on this. I want you to write. It's the program itself is not does not have a lot of things going on. Uh, Now coding it is a different story, so it probably requires a few lines of code, but I want you to write an application that when you run it, it just fills in a screen with all these circles. Let me run it one more time. Again, notice here that you're just filling it in with circles, and the circles are all different colors. Now, can you have more circles? Yes, absolutely. There's a variable that is going to basically determine how many circles you're going to be drawing inside of the window. It would actually happen to be the radius of the circle. Right now I have the radius at 20, but notice that if I do change the radius to 10, now I have more circles, so a lot more. So the bigger the radius, the less circles you have because they don't fit. You can't fit as many circles into your screen if they're bigger. So let me go ahead and pause this for a minute. So what I've done here is I've gotten rid of some of the code I had in here, and just made it so that I have enough code here to get you started. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to fill in a lot of this code. First, you're going to use the same change color function that you wrote in the previous assignment. So recall that change color should return three random values between 0 and 255. In this case, I don't have the implementation here to generate three random numbers between 0 and 255. I am telling you what those variables, you can call them, are red, green, and blue. So make sure you give them those names in the code above, or change these. It doesn't matter as long as they agree. So you have your change color function. It returns three random values between 0 and 255. And then in the main function, I've started you off here where you initialize Pygame. You set the height and the width of my window to 700 by 400. You create the window, the display. You specify a screen color. In this case, this happens to be just all white. So 255, 255. You fill the screen color. So you do the window and then the fill function where you give it the color that you want to fill it in. And then we move on to this part, which is where I need you to understand what's going on. I specify the radius of my circle as 10. Notice that if I change this to 20, my circles are going to be bigger and less circles are going to fit inside of the screen. So start off with 10. And then I do have here the X and the Y coordinate of the first circle, which is going to be 10, 10. That means the center of the circle is going to be 10 to the right, 10 down. And if I take you back to the frame of reference for a screen, then I can show you here that for the screen here, if I zoom out, suppose that every square is 10 pixels. If I go 10 to the right, 10 down, that would be here, the center. And so that's the center of the center location for the first circle, 10, 10. And because the circle has a radius of 10, then that's one square. The circle would fill in this whole thing. And there would be a circle right here. And if I drag, I don't know if I can drag this one. If I place it here, notice that it's centered right there. And if I make this just big enough, so almost like that right here. So that's what you would get, where X is 10 to the right, 10 down. So that's right there. And the radius is 10, which happens to be the width of a square here. So that's what you would get from the first circle. Now your job then is to draw more and more circles as you go to the right. And then when you get the edge of the screen, then you want to kind of come back here and start drawing circles on the next row, one below. Now you need to start thinking about how you're going to do that because this is your job. Notice that x, which is the sideways coordinate, if you want to draw a circle over here, then you have to think, okay, what do I do to this x coordinate to draw a circle right here? The y coordinate, I want you to notice, is going to stay the same. So y here would stay the same. If this is 10, 10 to the right, 10 down, uh, the next circle would be 30 to the right, and then 10 down. And then the next circle would be 50 to the right and 10 down. And there's a pattern there. Now, you're going to use a loop to do this, so you cannot hard code the values. You need to start thinking how I need to update my x value. Now, when you get to the last circle over here, you need to perform a check. You're going to say you're going to have to ask yourself, if I've reached this edge here on the screen, the right edge, which has to do with the x coordinate of the circle here, if it exceeds a certain value, then what you want to do is you want to set x back to 0, so you can go back over here, or to actually to 10. You want to set it back to 10, and then y, you want to increase it by, in this case, 20, so that you go here, and then where y was 10, now you need y to be 30 and x to be 10 again. And then you would do the same thing, add it to your x, 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 x. And then once you get it here again, increase y and reset x back to the radius, or to 10, so you can start on the next column. So this is your job. You need to start thinking about when you want to stop drawing circles. So I'm going to have you think about this. There's the x, the center location. Notice that I have not actually made the ball color here, but you need to make the ball color. You need to say ball color equals what? However, if you've done this from the previous assignment, you kind of have an idea of how to do this. You should use the change color function. You draw the circle. You then update your display so that the circle shows up. And then here is where you need to update the x coordinate of the circle for the next circle when the next circle gets drawn. And then you also need to perform a check to see if you've reached the right edge of the screen. Then you need to increment y and reset x. So there are, I guess, a few things that you need to do here. Not a lot, but it does require you to think about this and try to work this out, which is the objective. You need to fill in this Boolean expression. When do you want to stop drawing circles? You need to create a random ball color every time, and you have a function that helps you do that. You can draw the circle, update your display, and then this is here where you start thinking, okay, well, how am I going to do this? After I've drawn my first circle, I want to increase my x. If I reach the edge of the screen, I want to also increase my y, because the next time when I loop, I'm going to have a new ball color. It's going to be random. This is not going to be the same anymore, which means that you're going to be drawing a circle at a different location. And so that's the objective. It is, once again, a problem here that requires you to think about the logic and the checks that you're going to be performing.